Well, hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jason Levine, and it is very nice to see you here today on the Friday Masterclass, where today we're going to be looking at Adobe Stock and how you can use Adobe Stock in Premiere and After Effects. We talk a lot about it, and you've seen it, I'm sure, in many streams here on Adobe Live, for acquiring images or vectors or 3D models. We talked about this at Adobe Max. Well, of course, if you're in the video world as well, you can take advantage of vectors, you can take advantage of images, you can take advantage of 3D models. And then, of course, you also have things like motion graphics templates. You have audio, which is awesome with the audio find similar. We're used to find similar with imagery, but we have the same for audio files. We're going to take a look and listen at some of that. And again, almost all the things that you can leverage in Stock now tie into some way into the video applications. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. Of course, we're coming to you live across Behance, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So thank you so much for joining. I see we've got No BS Media from LA. How are you doing? Tough Kid Gaming, cut and paste. Nice to see you. And not sure what's happening over here on Behance. I'm not seeing anything on Behance. Oh, they're okay, yeah. They're doing something. I'm live on YouTube. I can see it, but all right. I'm gonna let you guys fix that, because that's not on me. Okay, so hello, CL Karen Brisa. Great to see you, as always. All right, so let's go ahead and let's start very quickly. We're just going to take a brief look first into Premiere. And actually, hold on. Before I start, I just want to check they're talking amongst themselves. Yeah, all right. They're going to have to talk amongst themselves. Okay, let's go ahead and switch over here. All right, so as mentioned, we're going to be talking about Adobe Stock. Now, of course, for this, we're going to be leveraging, I'm actually going to be sort of using the browser a bit more to get into, again, it's just an easier way to search and do all of those things. Now, you can, of course, search from within the Libraries panel in Premiere Pro. Of course, you have searchability, for things like motion graphics templates within the Essential Graphics in Premiere. And similarly, when you're talking about audio, you have Essential Sound here. But I don't want to discount the sort of validity and usefulness of the browser component to Adobe Stock. Again, really useful, super helpful. And it just gives you a bigger, broader picture and sort of more details about all the stuff that you might be licensing, etc. But when you do that, and if you use CC Libraries, now I'm not going to go into CC Libraries today, but I just want to point out that if you are someone who uses Creative Cloud Libraries, again, you probably already know this from Photoshop or Illustrator or InDesign, everything is broken down by category, and you can see I'm kind of twirling up all the various ones here. And these first 7 all apply to Premiere Pro. So again, we have some color themes here, colors, motion graphics templates. These are some of my own that I've made. Some I've made in Premiere, some I made in After Effects. Save them to my JSON library. Audio files. Now again, this is going to be a combination of files licensed from Adobe Stock as well as your own audio files. And you can do this using the Adobe Capture CC app, which I've showcased here a bunch of times. It is, without a doubt, maybe as of late, maybe second to Lightroom Mobile, because I have been using that a lot, especially with some of the new masking stuff. It's just kick, so it's awesome. But Capture CC is so great for, again, capturing vectors in the field, finding fonts, recording audio files, and having them automatically sync to your library in Premiere. I mean, it has so many great modules, so worth looking after. Looks, this is another. Now, again, this is a component of Capture CC for creating essentially LUTs of your environment. Videos, again, so these are all licensed videos and or previews from Adobe Stock. And then graphics. And then curiously in Premiere, maybe it's always been this way, I just never noticed, it's going to be a combination of any vectors or things that you've licensed. You can see here, this is a vector graphic that I licensed from Stock. These are vectors captured in Adobe Capture, but it also includes stock images. So graphics in Premiere and After Effects contains everything. Maybe it's always been that way. I could have sworn it was vectors and images were separated, but maybe not. And then it has other ones that I've uploaded and, done stuff with here in in libraries. Okay? All right. What's happening now? The sound has a bit of a jitter. Staticky audio, eh? Now what is that about? Oh my gosh. Okay, give me a sec. I'm gonna check here. Let's see what we got going on. Let's see. Okay, everything is synced there. Yep. This just died. Oh, you're kidding me. Okay, how about now? Before we throw everything out the door. Bueller? Anyone? Bueller? Sound is the same, crackly. What is going on? I got nothing. No reason for that. Okay. All right, I'm going to try one thing. So here's what I'm going to do. If you're watching on LinkedIn or my YouTube or Twitter, I'm going to kill that broadcast and I'm just going to go directly to behance.net/Adobe Live. So go over there. I'm back on. Now the AV sync is off. Yeah, now I'm not surprised because I had to restart this. Okay. What? Now the AV sync is off. Yeah, now. Oh, this is garbage. Okay. Let's try moving over to Adobe Live, all right? All right, everybody. Sorry, not sure what's happening here, but, you know, after 1,000-something streams, sure, there's going to be the last week or two of streaming is going to be, you know, chaotic. Okay, see you over at behance.net/Adobe Live. My face. Okay. We back. Good. Things working. I see I'm still not on Behance, so that didn't get sorted. That's not on me. How is the stream now? I'm going to rely on hello, Divya Yoshi Daily Story. How's the audio sounding? Crackly? Okay, very good. Thank you. All right. Well, let's get back to it, shall we? And hopefully this stays fine. Okay. I'm gonna go to let's go to Adobe Stock on the web. I'm good, Divya. Thank you. Let's go to Adobe Stock on the web and kind of talk about doing this stuff here. All right. Okay, so we're going to move over. Okay, so as mentioned, kind of leveraging Stock on the web here to sort of access all the various content that you might want to use. And as discussed, you know, again, if you've never used Adobe Stock, first of all, stock.adobe.com, that is where you want to go. But again, for the new and uninitiated, of course, this includes everything from images, which also includes things like vectors. So raster images, vector images, videos in, you know, HD, 720p, 4K, and beyond. Audio, so we have an entire library now of music that you can license for creating YouTube videos, for marketing presentations. If you're not an audio composer or don't want to hire one, we have, I don't even know how many tens of thousands of tracks now. I know it's over 50,000. It's a lot. Audio files, motion graphics templates, 3D assets, and then a whole series of free stuff, which includes all of the aforementioned topics. And there's tons of free stuff in each of those as well, by the way. So a really great way to sort of, you know, expand your offering and kind of just, you know, start playing around with stuff, especially if you're kind of new to using the apps. Okay, so let's see. I see, are they still, yeah. I'm assuming from the comments there that the audio is fine now. If it's not, then, you know, there's nothing else I can do. So let's start with some images. So in Premiere, I've sort of been working on the Safari content from last week. So let's look at Safari under Images. And again, immediately it's going to pull up a sort of combination of things. Now, what's great about the way that they've designed the site, and as you've heard me say many, many times, you know, giving credit where credit is due, I really love the organization of Adobe Stock. The site is actually really well done. By the way, you can already see that just on that one search term alone, it's returning, you know, 1.2 million results And I'm sure, not everything is always tagged as it should be. So I'm sure there's other, maybe there's even more than that in some cases. And this is, by the way, just in the imagery section, right? It doesn't include video and everything else. But we have the filter panel here. And in the filter panel, this is where you can really determine where, or specifically the kind of content that you're looking for. So again, as we come up here into the first subcategory option, photos, illustrations, vectors. So this is all contained in the imagery section. So in terms of After Effects, I would most likely want to use vectors, right? This is going to allow me to use anything from SVG or AI files, Illustrator files, which are, of course, then infinitely scalable in After Effects. So if you're doing any kind of motion graphics or anything where you want to preserve quality regardless of scaling, that would be vectors. Maybe we start with something like I want just some kind of cool photo or illustration, maybe an illustration, for this sort of Safari edit that I'm doing. So again, maybe we start with photos, back out here, and as we continue to scroll down though, now again, these are photos, so some of these are like ultra wide, panoramas. That's beautiful, that's wonderful. I love this. And we could leverage this in a video way. In fact, if we click on it, and this is what I was talking about, when you click on one, it's going to give you the actual dimensions. So this is 12,000 by 3878 pixels. So this is no doubt, this was a stitch, a panoramic stitch. Now, of course, if we're working in, standard HD, 1920, 1080, we have more than we can use here. But the nice thing is first of all, we have enough vertical height for both 1080p and 4K, where we could use an image like this and then do sort of a faux camera pan and just kind of scroll across. So this could actually be really cool to use. We can actually, maybe this is a cool one to choose. So having said that, you can see that you have a couple different options here. So you can, of course, save to a library if they're licensed. You can download a preview. So if you just want to see how is it going to work in the context of the edit. And the preview, of course, will be watermarked. So let's just go ahead and do that. Download a preview here. All right. It's going to go into my downloads folder. All right. And then you've also got sort of more from this series. So again, we do a lot of really cool things here to kind of evidence to you like content, leveraging that AI model, the sort of machine learning. Say, oh, okay, and then a little suggestive models here. I love that stuff. All right, so that's kind of a cool one. Let's take a look at maybe some vectors that I could also use for this. All right, and maybe these are things that I might use in the context of After Effects. So as I take a look here, so this is an Illustrator file. Okay, kind of cool. Could see some use to this. Now, again, but this is in kind of a weird aspect ratio. So if we're talking about sort of more, again, we're in imagery here, so we're not going to see 1920 1080 because that's a video standard, not an image standard. But in this case, we have the option here to maybe say, well, you know what? I definitely don't want anything vertical or square or panoramic. Not that you don't find video in vertical or square. Sure you do on social networks. But again, for my edit, which is full HD, just standard 1080p, I just want horizontal content. Now again, like the pano that we just grabbed, that's cool because it affords me the ability to sort of pan and scan and move around inside the image. But maybe I just want like a back plate or something. So I can choose horizontal. All right, and then it filters that down some more. And then we can determine specific pixels, right? Minimum width and height. So maybe I'm working in 1080, but I'm thinking like, I kind of want, there are certain minimums. Now again, for images and vectors, they're possibly going to be larger than standard HD. But maybe in terms of working in 4K, I want 3840 by 2160 as my minimum width and height. Curious what that's going to return now. And look, so now we're getting to see kind of all of the various options here. And ooh, this is a really cool one. I like that. That's pretty sweet. Okay. That's pretty cool. I like that. Let's go ahead and let's license this one. And we can use this one here and do something with this. Oh no, and I didn't want the image, I wanted the vector. Oh, that's okay. It actually lets me do either. There you go. Okay, and I want the vector version here. Set as the default. Sure, if I'm choosing a vector, I want the vector. I don't want the JPEG. Okay. Very cool. Now this is going to try and launch Illustrator. I don't need it to do that. I don't love that feature. I'll use it later. Don't open it automatically. I don't know why that happens exactly. Okay, so again, we're grabbing content now before we get to using it, and we're going to run out of time, but that's okay. So that's just sort of a quick look at images, right? So let's go back to the home page here. All right, moving on from there, let's go to video. All right, and let's use the same Safari search where you may even encounter some of my own content, right? So again, lots of videos here. Gives you some nice descriptives. Of course, as you hover over them, it's going to play back. It's telling you that they're available in 4K and HD if applicable here. All right, it's a really nice sort of drone shot there. Ooh, that's cool. That looks composited. Yeah, that's definitely not real. Still great though, but that's not real. Okay, so if we go into the view panel this time around, so again, we have available in 4K. So not uncommon today. If you're shooting 4K, yes, you can blow up 1080 to 4K. Actually, I do it a lot. Depends on the content, right? Depends on the footage. Some stuff will blow up just fine. Some stuff depends on what you're doing. It could just look a little sort of soft. So, but you can decide, you know what? I only want 4K content, and then you see it sort of thins out those results. So it took us from 111,000 to roughly 65,000, again, in the Safari category. So still have, almost 66,000 options here. Undiscovered content, what is that exactly? Use this filter to view content that has never been downloaded. Please note that this content is not sold. Okay, yeah. Interesting. So that's content that nobody wants. No. Probably find a lot of my videos in there. Oh, I'm so curious now. I'm curious. Let me see. Undiscovered. If any of mine pop up in the top 20, I'm going to go cry in the corner. Not really, but okay, I don't see any right off the top. That's funny. Wow, there's great stuff in here that's undiscovered. No insults at all. Oh, look at this. That's a cool, I think that's a cheetah. That's great. Okay. Well, good news is my stuff's obviously been discovered. I have licensed a few of my African safari shots. Okay, so undiscovered content. All right, so let's go back to 4K. Sure wish I could see comments. Unfortunately, I can't see those anymore. And then we have, duration. So this is cool too, because again, sometimes maybe you need B-roll and you want, in this case, what are the elephants drinking in a river or something? Well, that's only 12 seconds. A lot of these are fairly short, but the nice thing is you can say, well, minimum 5, maximum 30. And again, that's gonna really sort of narrow down the sort of content that you're working with. Frame rate, this is awesome too. Again, I love this because nothing wrong with bringing 60 frame into Premiere or, a mix of frame rates. But if you're like, well, I don't want to do any conversions, or just to see what's available, hey, I shot everything sort of DSLR 23976. Okay, show me what you got. And now you get to see that, right? And it's a combination of 4K and 1080, and yeah, nice. And it's all the same frame rate. So, this is something and there's 65 pages worth of this. So by the way, this is something I talk about a lot too. Premiere for forever, I think, or at least since CS3, I can't even remember how far back it goes. You can have mixed frame rates. Now, some schools have thought, you don't want to do that. There's reasons not to. Maybe you convert ahead of time. You can do that in Premiere or in After Effects. That used to be an After Effects only thing. Now you can sort of do those conversions anywhere. But so it doesn't really matter, but it's nice that you can, you can select it. Now, here's some of the cool things that we've added in the last couple years. They're still tagged as beta for whatever reason. Now again, this is using machine learning to identify specific angles and size and sort of, you know, crop factor of shots. So you can choose, as someone who shot a lot of extreme close-ups, as you saw with that 400mm lens, we can go into something like, you know, extreme close-up. Or maybe we want to look at close-ups and extreme close-ups, right? Get both of those there. Super tight. This actually looks like one of mine. It's not, because this lion isn't as beat up as the lions that we shot, but or photographed, videographed, you know what I mean. And then we have shot angle. So again, you know, if you're looking specifically for, you know, out of Africa drone helicopter shot over the migration of the name your animal, then we want aerial, you know, or high angle, or do you want eye level or low angle or top down? Like, this is pretty cool, okay? And then we can just say, you know, exclude people, which I imagine for most of this is not a problem, especially if you're, you know, nearing a lion that is covered in blood. Not gonna find a lot of people in those. But it has that option too. And again, that's using AI and machine learning to do that sorting there. Okay. So again, really cool, really nice here, easy. If we like a particular shot, oh, that was an interesting one to land on. You know, we can scrub through here. There's a lot of stuff. This is kind of a cool one. Is that a hippo? Yeah. Hippopotamus emerges from the water. Okay, I like that. Or submerges from the water. Same thing. You see the attributes here. It tells you how many credits they are. We can download an HD preview. We can save it to a library. Okay. Tells you about the similar files, dimensions, movie type, codec, bitrate. So I want to point something out. So again, now this is a QuickTime movie that you're downloading here, but it's H2, you know, QuickTime H.264. You will find some are MXF. I believe if they are native ProRes, it also says ProRes here. I believe I have some of those myself. So, and then the frame rate, duration, all of that stuff. So again, just because it's H.264, I want to point this out too for those who are sort of new and trying to understand video codecs. Yes, that's a compressed format, but that's not a bad thing necessarily. And again, that's a pretty high bitrate H.264. So, you know, that's sort of the benefit of downloading the preview, is that you can see, well, what is this going to look like? Where is this thing opening? It opens in QuickTime. That's a Safari thing. I'm doing this in Safari because I have other stuff in Chrome today. So, yeah, so you can kind of see how that's going to look and see if you want to actually license, if you need the 4K, or maybe you're just going to use the 1080, right? If it looks good enough, you'll kind of get the idea. The previews are, obviously, they're lower bitrate, but you can usually deduce in terms of clarity and focus what that's going to look like, okay? All right, so that's video. Now audio, real briefly here, before we get sort of implementing these in the apps, just kind of going through the download process, because it's a little different in each of these slightly, not really so much. Audio is kind of the most different one, really. This is the newest addition to Adobe Stock, technically, or maybe 3D is. I don't know who came first. But again, super cool. You have the same sort of filtering here. And this is similar filtering that you have in the Essential Sound panel. So again, I must admit, I wouldn't typically, if I were looking for something quickly, necessarily go to the web. The reason to go to the web, though, is for finding similar things. If you already have something that you have an idea like, this is what I want to use, this is a great way to do that. And by the way, again, talking about the filters here. So here's all the various moods. Again, these are all the same moods that you have in the Premiere Pro Essential Sound panel, and then all the various genres as well, okay? And then, you know, duration, tempo, looping, vocals, and then if you want a specific audio partner, sorry, my head was blocking those, you can do that. All right, now just by searching on Safari here, if you take a listen to this first one, let's see what this sounds like. I like it. So again, I can quickly download a preview of this and see what that's going to sound like. Or I can go to my desktop here where I have a track of my own, and I'm going to drag that track into Audio Find Similar. It's going to upload it, and then it's going to allow me to basically create a section here to sort of audition the piece that I wanted to use for finding, again, a similar sound, similar phrase. So let's see, let's take a listen here. Actually, I'm going to use the intro bit because I want to see if it finds things with like specific hand percussion. So this is my tune called Sabi Sabi, created 10 years ago. So let's go ahead and find similar. All right, it's uploading, it's analyzing, it's looking at the tempo, it's looking at what it, the various moods that it identifies, the various genres that it identifies. And right away, look at the first one that it pulls up. I love that. Safari Caravan and African Food Truck. So like it definitely got the spirit of what I was sort of trying to do musically here. So let's take a listen to what these sound like. Hand percussion. Okay, African Food Truck. Peculiar Animals. Sounds like the same. It is the same author. Kind of the same tune there. It's that same old song with a different... It's actually the same beat, just a slightly different melody. Out on Safari. Oh, it's the same person again. Okay, you get the idea. So again, I could quickly download the preview here. I can also do this directly in Premiere Pro, but the find similar aspect, that's what you get to do here. That's my favorite thing about this. All right, and then the very last thing that we're going to sort of talk about are the templates, motion graphics templates. All right, and again, if we go into View Panel here, what we want to do is first, actually, let's go back to the home page here. Safari. Let's clear the filters. Now, why is it not showing me Premiere Pro? What's going on with that? No. I don't want Photoshop or Illustrator. Why is it doing that? I don't want that. Videos, templates. Why all of a sudden is it not showing me Premiere? Okay, I'm gonna bounce over to, this is just that day. It's just that kind of a day. Go back over to Chrome here. Bear with me. You've hung in this long. Why am I not seeing the templates? Motion graphics templates. Okay. I don't know why this was doing that. But. Okay. So, app, Premiere. Thank heavens. Okay. And I'm not really sure what kind of Safari level things we're going to find in here. Oh, maybe none. That could be why. Maybe that was why I wasn't seeing anything. Still, why would the app go away? Just show nothing. All right, there you go. I love this site. That's one little thing that kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. Anyway, now as mentioned, you can search on these inside of Premiere. These just give you a super quick, again, hover scrubby type functionality to quickly see what these are and what they do, all right? So this is sort of a classic glitch title template. I actually really like this. Again, it's going to tell you the attributes of this. And I'm going to go ahead and license this. And I'm going to download it. And the reason for that is, and this is actually where we're going to start here, is that you have the ability to not only, of course, use and modify these motion graphics templates in Premiere, but through a little backdoor trick, which isn't really a trick, it's just not something that we promote all the time, you can actually, you can unlock the motion graphics template and make additional changes to it if you need to. This is something that I do with my own because I often save a lot of the templates that I reuse in my own stuff as MOGRTs, as motion graphics templates. All right, so I just downloaded that one. I've got some other ones stored there. So let's quickly go back to Premiere for a start. Okay, so first thing, we're just going to start with some of those images that we grabbed earlier. All right, so I think this one here, yeah, super cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab this. Now, again, we already know that this image is very, very large. So, you know, if I wanted to, you know, drag this into Premiere, and maybe we start a little edit with this, okay? So first of all, I'm going to set this to the frame size, right? Now that's just using the width of our frame here. I'm going to go into Effects Controls. All right, and let's scale it up. But again, as mentioned, because we know that the vertical height of this was like, it was, I think, 3,800 pixels or so. Oh, whoops, I don't want to do vertical. We could do, you know, this again, assuming we liked this and we wanted to license this, you know, this is the kind of thing where we could do a little keyframed motion on this. Okay. And think of this as like a title sequence, right? Come to the end here. All right. Sort of do a side to side. Maybe we even do a little ease in. And let's do a continuous Bezier. I mean, we'll do even a little ease out. All right. Now again, this is not going to look particularly spectacular, but you can imagine, you know, some text coming over this, dun, 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 you know, that music that we just heard before, right? And then the video underneath fades up or whatever it is. So again, just showcasing using some of the imagery from stock, if you so wanted to do that. Okay, and if it's saved to your library, again, I didn't do that with that particular asset, but wherever you see that little icon right here, you can license it directly from within the CC library panel here, or if it's a video in your timeline, you can license it from the timeline as well. Again, in this case, it's grayed out, but because I didn't save it to that library. But this would be an option for you to license directly in the timeline if you liked it. So really nice, sort of easy way to leverage that content. Okay. Let's go back to our import here and grab that hippo video. Now, this one, maybe we'll insert this after the cats, before the rhino. So I'm going to use my drop zones here. So insert before the cursor, insert right there, insert after. So let's insert it right there. Okay. All right. Give us an idea of just how this is going to look in context. Again, no effects. We're just kind of playing with this. Now again, that's a low bitrate preview. So this is what I'm talking about. Like as I'm looking at this, and again, we can even do a properties on this. to kind of see. Does it give us the attributes? Yeah, well, put it this way. It's 7 megabytes at 25 FPS, 1080p in MP4, right? 420, Rec 709. And we've got some really nice detail, sharpness, contrast. So I'd feel comfortable licensing this knowing that, remember, it was like a 48 megabit H.264. This is a 7 megabyte version of that. So probably if we looked at it on the Finder, I don't know, maybe it's 8 to 10 megabits, maybe, probably lower than that, frankly. It looks great. So I would absolutely, from here, again, if it was coming from the library, I would be able to license this directly right in the timeline and just kind of keep moving on, okay? So really, really useful, all right, to leverage that. Get the idea there. Okay, so music, right? So again, now here we are in Essential Sound. We could do the same search that we did before. Look, it actually even comes up with the same tracks as well. So that one Expedition, that one was pretty awesome. Let's go ahead and drag that in here. All right. Now again, I hadn't licensed this yet. It's just grabbing the preview. So this is a lower bitrate preview of that file. Let me see. Is this, by the way? Did we ever get this coming back? No, it's still Katrina. Okay. Oh well. I can go ahead and preview this now that it's in the timeline and just kind of give me an idea of what this is going to sound like. Maybe I just add a little fade on this just because. And I'll add a fade on these too. Oh, this would be a good opportunity for a motion graphics template with some text flying on. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I actually really like that. Okay. So again, I mean, even in this, my little cheesy linear move here, so linear, so cheesy. But you could imagine if we liked this, kind of sets the scene, sets the mood. Obviously, we would grade these to kind of match a bit more. But if you had some cool titles popping over top of those, that could look pretty great. Just kind of depends what you're looking for, what you wanted to do. Now, speaking of, we just grabbed those glitch titles. Now, again, I didn't license those to the library here, so I'm going to add them directly. So down in the bottom right-hand corner of the Essential Graphics panel is this button to install Motion Graphics template. This is probably one of the most undiscovered buttons in the app. I've done a lot of streams talking about how do I put things in the library, in the sort of local template folder. Now you can do it manually, but this is the proper way to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and install the Motion Graphics template. Let's go to Downloads here. I believe this is the MOGRT we just grabbed. Yep. All right. Click Open. All right. And there it is. It gets installed just like that. Okay. Now, that installs it to my local templates folder. I can copy it to my library so that it's also there, right, in the future, right? Because oftentimes I have this as at all, so I just want to look at my libraries. Oh, there's 2 versions of it now. Well, maybe I didn't need to do that. Okay, again, if we go into Info here, just as we saw on the web, this should give me a preview title. Should also automatically license that Orbitron Black. I don't know why it's not licensing that. But it should when we drag it in. So let's do that. All right. If we go into Edit. Now remember, this is undoubtedly an After Effects created. It is an After Effects created motion graphics template. I can tell by the way that it's sectioned, okay? So whenever you see twirl downs like this is telling you that this template came from, it was authored in After Effects. And because we have the After Effects render engine in Premiere. Again, this has got some heavy stuff going on here. Let me turn off the sound. As I scrub through it, and my app is just not loving it, it's going to start to cache those frames. I'm going to worry about that here because it's stinking. By the way, you will notice it was using that Orbitron font. It didn't even give me an indication that it needed to download it. It just grabbed it because it was an Adobe Stock font. So now if I go back to browse, yeah, so that little indicator, the emergency indicator that in yellow, notice that's gone because once I dragged the template in, it automatically licensed that font, which is great. That's one of the amazing things with Adobe fonts and templates, whether for Premiere or for Illustrator, wherever. Any font that's part of the Adobe font library, and there's over 20,000, if you don't have that installed on your system, when you drag that comp or template into your app, it's automatically going to just license that font easily. And now there's no limit. There used to be a cap on the amount of fonts you could license. Now you can license whatever. So again, as part of Adobe Fonts, as part of your membership. So pretty sweet. All right. Now again, this is this particular glitch title here is editable here in terms of the parameters that are offered in the Essential Graphics panel. So, this would be an odd choice for Welcome to Africa. But the idea being that I can modify this, it's going very, very slow, here in the panel, and it updates those graphics. And you can see now it's very, very slowly somehow trying to render this motion graphics template. Okay, but there are cooler things you can do with that. So let's go over to After Effects. Okay, so first, just real quick, we licensed, we grabbed a couple of I grabbed a couple of Illustrator vectors, right? So I just want to show you bringing in those Illustrator vectors first, and then we'll end on MOGRTs and After Effects. So once again, I'm just going to go into my downloads here. So I grabbed a couple. What was this? That's a beautiful one. I don't know. What's this one here? Oh, this is the Africa one. Okay. Yeah, so let's grab this. So go ahead and grab this. I'm going to drag this into a new comp. Okay. Right? And it looks beautiful. Right? And again, we could do the same kind of camera moves, or maybe we blur, or we do something else. No big deal bringing Illustrator files or SVGs into After Effects. Now, of course, what you might do, depending upon the kind of animation style or MOGRT style that you're going to work with, maybe you'll, again, use the camera, zoom in, change position, scaling, or whatnot. And keep in mind, these are Illustrator files. They're vectors. So if I just go down to my scale property here, that's just shortcut key S, and I scale this up, what you might notice is, well, hold on a second. That doesn't look good. It's super, whoops. It's super jagged. It doesn't look vectorized at all. Actually, well, it's kind of looking like it is on stream, but it isn't. And that's because you have to enable continuously rasterize, which is this little button right here, right? So I'm going to check this box, and now your vectors are smooth. So again, before, blur city, after, perfect, okay? And then, again, you can scale and manipulate however you want. So just remember to keep that box checked, all right? And then you can do your scaling, and everything is going to look beautiful and smooth, okay? So that's just working with a little bit of vector art inside of After Effects. This one button will save you hours of frustration. Just solved this for a customer the other day who was new to After Effects and didn't know why it wasn't working. Like, I thought After Effects works with Illustrator. It does, but you have to turn that on first. Now, depending upon what you want to do, if you want to manipulate those vectors, just as an aside, I've shown this on the stream before, you can then take that Illustrator file and convert it into After Effects shape layers. It's under this Create section here, Create Shape from Vector Layer. And then that will do just that. It's going to redraw all the vectors, which you can then manipulate. You can then change the color, the fill, the stroke, Again, if you're going to do heavy manipulation, do it in Illustrator. And this is a very complex graphic here, so this would be very kind of slow. It wouldn't be great to manipulate. But you could do that here if you wanted, okay? Convert to shape layer. All right, last, before we go, how do we work with MOGRTs natively here? You're going to open them as a project, okay? Not as like an open media file, but as a project. So once again, I'm going to take that glitch MOGRT here, opening as a project, and it's going to ask me to save a folder for all of the, to extract all the elements. So let's go ahead and do that. It's going to convert this. This was saved in After Effects 18. We're now in 23, so this one's been around for a while. All right. And now what you see are all of the elements that were leveraged to make this motion graphics template, including all the pre-comps, all the solids, everything. All right. And again, so sort of, just like the text title here and the little animation that's used to create the sort of glitch, which is probably an expression of some kind. If I hit UU, yeah, sure enough. Yeah, so we've got some expressions on the title here, a couple of them, tracking among others, right? So this just allows you to reveal all the attributes that made up that template and modify them if you want to, which is also kind of nice. And then, resave it. Now don't resell that. That's not the idea here. It's just if you needed to manipulate it for some particular reason to match something, and maybe it was a characteristic of the editable features that just wasn't enough. You needed to do more. You can do it this way. Now keep in mind, of course, again, here's all the controls in After Effects using the Essential Graphics panel here. As you manipulate things here, they're going to manipulate on screen as well. So, style controls, the glow, as we manipulate that in Essential Graphics, it's manipulating that. Now again, these are editable parameters on the Premiere side. So if you just set this arbitrarily here, that'll be that same arbitrary setting over there. They do give you the option here to edit the text and font, right, and style. So it doesn't have to be Orbitron, it could be whatever. Again, we allow the editability based on how this designer created this in the Essential Graphics panel, right? If you go to Edit Properties here, you can determine what you want editable, all right? And that's it. And then you can export it as a new motion graphics template and you're on your way. Friends, thanks for sticking around. Have a great weekend. Have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. And we'll see you again next time, hopefully glitch-free. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.